everybody, welcome back to the second part of pillows, throw pillows and the specifications. Thanks for joining us, and here we go. Over today is Optima Fill, and Optima is also known as Polyfill. However, it's also known as Cloud9, and that was kind of a terminology used quite some time ago. This is what Optima looks like. It is from polyfiber, and back in the day, and I think some companies still use fiber that's more in a sheet, and the pillows end up looking very flat. The next kind of level up in quality from regular poly is Optima, which is where they take that flat fiber and they spin it into very small little balls, and it gives it, that's why they call it Cloud9, it gives it kind of more of a lofty look to the fiber. Pros and cons for this material. Pro is it's definitely on the lower end of the spectrum as far as cost, so this is going to be your most kind of value engineered option for a throw pillow. Con, depending on what your look is that it doesn't have a whole lot of collapse to it. It really does hold its shape. This one is filled. Obviously, you can reduce the fill. This one is filled pretty full, but you can see it doesn't really karate chop super easy, but it does hold its shape, and it does definitely stay full. If you're sitting in it and you come out of that throw pillow, it's going to hold its shape. So that's actually kind of a pro. Con is just that it's a little less luxurious. It doesn't compress like some of the other materials. So that's Optima. So the next option that we have for fill on a throw pillow is actually a hybrid. It's a combination of both Optima, which we just showed, which is a polyfill, and Trillium, which is what we call our faux down. Let me just set this here. This is a combination, I'm sorry, I got the wrong one, that's all Trillium. This is a combination of Optima and Trillium. So if you look through what we have here, you'll find the small little balls of the Optima, and then we have the softer material that's called Trillium, which is a silk product. And that makes it a little bit more down-like. So pros and cons for this one is that, well, there's not a whole lot of cons, but the pros are, again, we're towards the lower end of the spectrum in cost. It is a little bit more than just all Optima. And we want you to specify the percentage. So in this case, what I'm showing you here is mostly Trillium. So this is 25% Optima, which is the little fiber, and it's about 75% the faux down, which is the Trillium. And we've also done pillows that are 50-50 and also 75% Optima and 25% Trillium. In this pillow, we are seeing that this also has a nice full look to it, like the Optima pillow did that we just looked at, but this one has a little bit more ability to collapse, and it's a little bit softer by adding that percentage of Trillium in it. So the more Trillium you add, the softer it's going to be. But again, the price is going to go up just a little bit depending on that percentage. So pros, definitely holds its shape, definitely doesn't collapse as much, which is a little bit of a con depending on the look that you're after. So this one is a hybrid of Optima and Trillium. And again, from 25% to 50-50 to 75-25. You just need to specify. So for this next one, we're using a 100% Trillium fill. And Trillium is a trademark name that's out there in the industry. We also call it faux down. This, as far as pros and cons, I am all pro for this. I think this is a great product to have it in my home. I recommend it when people really want a down look and a luxurious look that's karate choppable, that is soft, that's luxurious to sit in, that compresses very similar to down. The other pro about it is that it's hypoallergenic, so you know that's a great plus as well for the guests and the clients. And again, it just has that really nice compression, and it looks and feels very similar to down. And the price point is not as expensive as down feather. So this is 100% Trillium, and this is really a fantastic product. So 100% faux down or Trillium. For the final pillow, we are showing you down feather. So this particular pillow, I believe, is a 50-50. It is quite soft and has in it 50% down and 50% feather. Pros and cons for down feather. So I would say pros are, it's a very luxurious feel. It definitely compresses. It compresses more so than the Trillium. You know, it is just a very different feel than anything else. It's very, it just smushes. It's kind of like your down pillow at home that you might sleep on. So down feather is pro, just quite luxurious and beautiful. Cons, I think there's a few in hospitality. The one con is that the feathers can poke through the material. So even though we put a downproof cover on the interior of the piece, which if I can find a zipper, I will show you. So we have downproof ticking that we use on the interior, and still though the feathers can poke through this and they can poke through the fabric. So that's kind of a con. The other thing is that depending how much feather you use, so if you use 75% feather or 80% feather or 90% feather and 10% down, you're gonna get a little bit more of a crunch. So in this one, I'm not sure if you can hear it. There's a little bit in there, but those feathers crunch a little bit. So that is a little bit of a con. The other thing is that in a moisture heavy environment, sometimes if it gets wet or there's a lot of moisture, the down feather can actually get a little bit of an odor to it. So that's something also to keep in mind. The other con is cost. So down and feather is definitely more expensive. It's going to be a notch above our faux down, and the more down you put into the pillow, the more expensive the cost. So the down, I'm not even going to really show you too much of it because it is very messy, but I want to show you the difference between down and feather. So the down is what's flying around. The down is the really soft, if I can get a big piece, it's hard because there's so much feather, but it's really the fluffy stuff that's in the middle, that's underneath the feathers. And that's what the down is. The feather obviously is the feather. We all know what that is, and those have the little plumes and the little sharp pieces on the end, which is what I was talking about as far as it coming through. But the more down you use, the more expensive it is. So a 1090 pillow, 10% feather and 90% down is going to be the most expensive. 10% down and 90% feather is probably the least expensive. So as those percentages change, the pricing will change and go up. So that is a little bit of a con. I do know that in some applications, like in suites and you know, high-end residential homes, the down feather absolutely makes sense. In the public area, it's not something that you would typically use just because the pillows have to be fluffed up, and kind of housekeeping will have to always kind of just adjust them to make sure they look full and nice, because over time, as someone sits in them, they're just gonna kind of compress. So basically that is an overview of all of the pillow fills. We covered the last one, down feather, and know about the percentages as far as the more feather you have, the less down, the less expensive the cost is. The more down you have, the more expensive it is. So obviously we can provide all of these different fills, but just wanted to give you a little education about what works and what doesn't, and the pros and cons of all of it. So thanks all for joining, and hope everyone stays safe and healthy, and see you again next time. Bye.